I call the Honourable Anne Tolley.
And that member is absolutely wrong on every single count. And that's the problem with this debate, Mr Speaker. And that's the problem with the Labor Party, because they're all about emotions and insinuations and allegations, and they're not about the facts. They're not about the facts. So let's put the facts on the table. These are bad people. That's why they are in prison, because they are bad people. And the first role of corrections is to keep the communities safe from them. Okay? These are not unusual for there to be incidents of violence in our prisons. None of us condone it. None of us want to see that happen. But the reality is that it does happen. And the facts are that it happens in state-run prisons as well as privately run prisons. No, you wouldn't know that from the previous speakers. You only have to look at the assaults if that member looked at some of the assaults that happened. I was corrections minister when there was a riot. At Spring Hill Prison. They set a whole wing on fire, and I didn't hear the Labor Party then calling for all prisons to be put under private ownership because the state couldn't run a prison and keep prisoners safe. So this is hypocrisy. This is all about the absolute hatred that the Labor Party has for any private enterprise in this country. They absolutely believe that the state has all the roles to play and no one else can do it. And the facts just don't support that. The facts are that Serco actually had a very tough year. The first year that it was running Mount Eden, it made a hang of a lot of mistakes, and I think we fined them something close to $1 million. We can do that when they make mistakes in a private prison. We can penalise them financially, and we did. When they make the same mistakes in a state-run prison, we can't have those same sanctions. We don't have the ability to pull those levers to get better behaviour. And that's one of the advantages of having a private company running a prison. Now, the previous speaker talked about Wiri and how somehow we're closing down old, antiquated prison wings around New Zealand so that Serco can run a full Wiri prison. I mean, that's absolute nonsense. Again, the facts are 1,000 prisoners are currently out of Auckland because there isn't room to house them. The facts are that the new Plymouth prison was built in the 1800s, and it was appalling that government, the Labor government, locked people up in cells that were designed in 1880. I think that is shameful, and that is the system, the prison system that we inherited from Labor. This national government cleaned up corrections, and focused our prisons on rehabilitation. We're spending much more on mental health facilities. We're building a mental health facility in Paremaremu. We built a unit out at Rimataka for prisoners suffering from dementia. The Labor government never did any of that. We're focused on rehabilitation. We're spending money on education to make sure that prisoners have an education, have some training when they leave. And the leaders in this area have been Serco. If you look at that new Wiri prison, they have come in and shaped the whole building of that new prison around prisoners' rehabilitation, around training, at getting them jobs out in the community. If you look at the way that Serco has managed its mental health in the Mount Eden prison, it has changed the way the state system looks at dealing with patients with mental health. Now, I'd be happy to have the argument in this House about whether people should end up in prison when they actually have a mental health issue. Let's talk about that. That would be a worthwhile discussion to have. But at the moment, they end up in prison, and Serco in Mount Eden is dealing with them in a completely different different way from we've ever dealt with them before, and having huge success. It was Serco who first introduced at Mount Eden a different way of treating the children of prisoners who had to come and visit their parents. And again, that has led massive changes throughout the state sector. So yes, there has been talk of fight clubs in Mount Eden since long before Serco came on the scene, way before people came on the scene. We now have good evidence as to who's taking part and the fact that it's taking part, and there are legitimate questions to ask, and the Minister's review will do that. But it is stupid to stand in this House and talk emotionally and talk about a philosophical view that both the Labour Party and the union have against private prison provision. Because the facts are that on things like rehabilitation and reoffending, the privately run prison in Mount Eden is exceeding the record of our state-run prisons. And all of that is taken into account. If that member actually did her homework instead of flouncing around at social events, she might actually be far better informed about what goes on. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't have to defend Serco. Their record actually stands for itself. That's not to say there aren't things to investigate when we do have good evidence now that these fights are taking place, and they will be investigated, and the Minister's done the right thing. But to stand up here and say that all private prisons are about privatising, that they are not competitive in the market, and that they should get rid of them, that is a philosophical point of view, and that is just not supported by the evidence. Mr. Speaker, I maintain that Mount Eden Prison, run by Serco, has been assessed under the same criteria that every other state-run prison is assessed, that it is the best performing. And I think that we should be biding our time and waiting for the outcome of the Minister's review. Then there is the time to discuss whether you want to make any changes and what changes should be made. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.